Now, modern religion, you say? Well, if you've been watching my videos or reading my tweets, you know that I use this term quite a bit. And I'm pretty sure this is the first tweet, and it will be our final tweet today. This is probably the first tweet I ever used the term modern religion. So there will be many more tweets on the subject over time, but in the meantime, we have my first tweet here. I was just looking for my phone. We're going to be using that as well. It's right here. So this tweet is called A Selection of Modern Religions. Social justice, global warming, censorship, institutions, moral panic. So these are 5 of the modern religions that I have noted, and there may be more in the future. But these are, I think, at this point, excuse me. At this point in time, I think I have most of the big ones sort of figured out. And I'll be releasing another list of those relatively shortly. So modern religions, we have social justice. And here is where my trusty phone will come into play. And I will show tweets. So this is a reply to another tweet. I've been referring to social justice as a modern religion for a while. A faith-based mechanism for achieving objective truth and moral virtue for one and all, followed by even the devoutly secular, casting reason and individual merit aside for collectivist ideology and hive mentality. So, social justice is well intended. I hold no ill will on a personal level with anybody that pushes social justice, unless they have, in some way harmed me, which in general they haven't personally. So we're good there. But I don't agree with cultural Marxism, intersectionality, identity politics, and the modern religion that we call social justice. I don't agree with the method by which equality and equity and happiness for all and sovereignty, personal sovereignty, and what we call positive liberty can be achieved. We want all these things. There's nobody that's against this. These are commonly held positions. Okay? The average person wants other people to be okay. So we have this one method here. And the prophets of the modern religion, they spread the word, they act as beacons, they virtue signal. And they appeal to people that become disciples to just follow along because, look, even the devoutly secular, those that don't have God in their life, need something to lean on. Some kind of virtuous code where objective truth and moral virtue can be had by one and all. It's largely faith-based. It does have some reason, but it's misplaced. Trying to convert the oppressor to the oppressed, or the oppressed to the oppressor, it's a vicious cycle. I mean, it's just not, from what I can see. I'm happy to debate somebody on this topic, but what I'm looking at in my research is that they don't have an answer for where the hatred ends. So it's not a chance at redemption or salvation, as my friend Tanglesome says. You don't get a chance at redemption or salvation. You're the other. You're the oppressor. You're the villain. And then you have the oppressed, who are victims. They fall to victim mentality. And they don't see themselves as winners, when it's quite possible that with the right motivation, the right person pushing them, and the right thing pushing them, and themselves, believing in themselves, they push forward. And they get out of their victimhood complex. And they realize, and some people are going to have a hard time, and we should be supportive of those people as well. But this ideology of, trying to, assume that it's based on power. I say the postmodern prophets, they think that power is everything. That it's not about individual character or the value in labor as well. This is another thing. But, this villainization of the more prosperous, it's not very motivating. It really isn't. And it creates more hate. So, until some hypothetical point where the roles reverse, the oppressor and the oppressed, the cycle of altruistic hatred can't begin anew. It's a cycle of altruistic hatred, and I mean that. I don't mean that. I'm not trying to rile people up. I'm not, trigger. I didn't say trigger warning because I didn't think it was a trigger. But, intersectionality is a cycle of altruistic hatred, altruistic otherism. In my video, my first video, Generating Racism, and I talked about it on a more recent tweet video as well. Good intentions can pave the road to hell. And if you're generating hatred for certain groups, and I won't name those groups that I understand to be persecuted at this time, and these are people being persecuted for crimes that their ancestors committed, I see it and I go, well, it's not so bad now, but it's not getting better. It's getting worse. And that's why some people believe we're in clown world. I'm not sure if they're right, but we're pretty close. So that kind of sums up my view on social justice. I want social justice in the general sense. I believe that I want society to be one that is fair and just for all human beings, regardless of who they are. They should be judged on their character, their personal merit, and what they bring to the table, and not by any of their immutable characteristics. So that's where I fall on that. And social justice disciples, or social justice warriors, as well-intentioned as they are also, to my understanding, perhaps misguided. And hopefully we can talk and converse and share information with the social justice disciples, and at least try to understand, help them understand, if they don't now, that they are they've become enraptured in a modern religion. And that's what this is. So that is the social justice. Now, global warming. Global warming, we've already talked about. It is this faith in the future bringing about catastrophic climate change. And we have had numerous warnings over the years, over the decades, of the same thing, and it hasn't occurred. And yet it's supposed to occur now. And they're blaming largely CO2. Now that's the crux of most of the current iteration of this modern religion, because this modern religion is not so modern. It goes way back in time. This fear of the climate and the weather and of God being in the clouds and raining down lightning and thunder and all these things, like the elements have always been a bit, they've always been tied in with spirituality and religion throughout human history. So it's not really the most modern religion, but when we're referring to the fervor that led to the, acceptance from many of the Green New Deal in the United States, and this general, the ice caps are melting, etc., etc., just every sort of scare word you've heard, every article you've heard, some of it may be true, and some of it may be false, and some of it is provably true, and some of it's provably false. So that means that about half of science in general, but certainly half of climate science, as Scott Adams and Tony Heller and others have talked about, is either estimated or adjusted or fake or somehow not credible, which was a surprise to me because I thought science was a lot more predictable. But, it is the cutting edge in many cases, and I do understand that they can't always get it right the first time, and it's going to take it takes a long time for things to iterate, and we have a lot to look forward to. I consider myself a futurist. I love thinking about the future. I'd rather live 50 years from now than 50 years ago. That's my personal opinion, and I do eagerly await the singularity, whatever that might be, because I want to be there and see the history of what that is. And I'm hoping, and again, I'm agnostic, I'm hoping that global warming won't figure into the plans and won't obstruct me or anybody else from living the most beautiful life. Well, a boy can dream, huh? So, then there's censorship, and if you've seen any of my videos, or if you've read my tweets, or if you've spent any time around the internet lately, you might know that censorship is a modern religion. And I'm going to show you a tweet to that effect. So, censorship, as you can see there, is a modern religion. At Real Jeff Tidwell on Twitter. Censorship is a modern religion. Another faith-based mechanism. So you hope it works. You hope it works. Does it work? Well, that's the reason part. Does it work? Is there a reason for this? But this is a faith-based mechanism by which objective truth and moral virtue for one and all can be attained. So pretty similar to social justice in the description. We're just trying to make things better, less harmful, more moral. We want to protect people, protect the children, protect the innocent. These are very, good things. This is very well intended. It achieves these goals through a systematic silencing of those that disagree with its prophets and disciples. Their arbitrary values casting reason aside. So somebody makes a judgment call and something is censored. Now, unless there's some sort of deity, like maybe what you'd call God, of course, if something's privately owned, of course the person should have the right to censor. Okay, like you can censor your own Facebook post. If someone puts a comment that's offensive, you can choose to hide it. I believe in that sort of housekeeping and household form of, censorship. Of course, everybody should have a right to, you know, have their own property and have property rights, and, you know, be able to want to have their own personal space and get away from others, and, you know, block them on their side. But when you're blocking and like depersoning and deplatforming and demonetizing and just sort of destroying these people's reputations, and you're creating tabloid fodder, fake news about people to make sure that they can never come back to the internet. I mean, that's, I'm not sure if it's a positive modern religion or a negative one. I mean, I do think it's pretty negative. Censorship kills. Anything that kills, well, I'm going to call that negative. Is that fair? I think it's fair. I don't have to go on forever about how free speech is the true way to destroy hate speech. The answer to hate speech is more speech. And then hate speech is subjective, so you have to be very careful and not let the prophets or the disciples of the modern religion called censorship turn you into a martyr. All these people being censored off of here, these are martyrs. Like, these are martyrs in the truest sense. They're being cast aside for what? For speaking the truth? They're not promoting credible threats. They're not promoting hate. They're questioning certain narratives. They might be doing things that the establishment and the corporate media don't like, and that certain social justice disciples don't like. But in general, things are better when people are free. Free speech. You know, if you have a credible threat, someone trying to dox or harass, truly harass and smear and commit libel and slander and defamation, these are reasons why you'd want to take away someone's ability to speak, because they're so destructive. We don't want that. We don't want that. But you can't turn to censorship as an automatic, just wave it away with your faith. Oh, it's an axiom, the ultimate axiom. God did it. But I'm secular, so censorship did it because it's better to let, you know, major multinational corporations censor everything. I think it's a pretty negative thing. That's just my take, but maybe I'm cynical. And of course, institutions. And so I'm going to take you guys all the way back to sophistry school. Ooh. So that's sophistry school. And so institutions are a modern religion. You get your blessings from academia, media, and or state. You believe in the correct gods for your desired audience. And congratulations, you've been granted social permission to be an authority for everybody to appeal to. So, yeah, you know, it's not that I'm saying that we should question all authority. In general, you should question authority, but there are degrees. There are reasons why I say seek subject matter experts, and there's a reason why I say, you know, sometimes an authority can be a good figure, and they might have earned, and they might have merit. They might have earned their posts, and they're the right fit. The chemistry is right across the board for what they're doing. And that's something that I can truly get behind, you know. I respect authority, you know, especially if it's been well earned. And I respect the experts, and I listen to the experts, and I take the information they give me, and if they are good and credible, I put it into the database. of my head, on my tweets, my paper, wherever I can record. And then I do my own science from there. And I do appreciate when you have people from academia that really do have a deeper understanding of their field. But again, you can be an expert in one field and a complete fool in another. So we have to be careful, and of course, media. People automatically do trust some celebrity. So I often do pair this with celebrity. But it's celebrities not only in the sense of like Hollywood or any of that, but it's also the news media. It's all media. You know what I mean? Like when someone says that they're an expert or they're an authority figure, they are the authority on this. I mean, I'd like to trust that. But at the same time, if I never question them, well, I'm going by definition on faith. So it's a faith-based mechanism where you're putting reason aside because, oh, I can trust them. Well, yeah, you probably can, but I wouldn't take it on faith. So that's why that's media. You have to be careful about the fake news. You have to be careful about sophistry. So that's why I take you to sophistry school and I say, look, hey, it's all right here. It's all you need to know. So you need to, and it's also state, of course. So people, once somebody was president or whoever, if somebody was in government, they're the mayor or whatever it might be. It's just, they do have the most experience in leadership, government leadership roles, more than other people, obviously. So they know, there is a muscle memory to it, to your government work. But, we can't just automatically trust the government. Okay? You can't automatically trust the government. That about sums it up? That sums it up, Terry. So, putting your, if you become, if you're falling in as a disciple of the modern religion known as institutions, then, and it's because of somebody from state, anything Trump does or anything Clinton does, is okay. They've gotten a pass from me, or any other figure on any level of government, municipal, all the way up to to the White House. Can't just trust. So if you want to be a sophist, though, you need to believe in the correct gods for your desired audience. So this goes for everybody. Just make sure you play the game and be the grifter that we know you can be. Yeah. Be the fraud. Be the fraud we know you can be. Congratulations! You've been granted social permission to be an authority for everybody to appeal to. So, when someone makes an appeal to an authority, this person said this was true, so I believe it's true. Well, hey, you might fall in well with institutions and celebrity. And finally, moral panic. And by extension, outrage culture. It's outrage all the way down. Yes, I am outraged over outrage culture. Totally outraged. So, moral panic is a modern religion. We talked about it earlier, but I'll stick with this one right here. This is a newer tweet from March, but it's called PewDiePie Proxy. PewDiePie. And in my impression, PewDiePie Proxy. Moral panic is a modern religion. One form of moral panic could be casually described as the false messiah panic. in which people generate alarm over a personality that is too persuasive, too loved, and too successful. The fear of cult mentality holds merit. So yeah, absolutely. The fear of cult mentality holds merit. That's why I'm talking about modern religions. Because, look, I am not going to judge. I judged a little bit on the censorship issue. But I am agnostic, and I try to keep my biases down and my options open. So, it is true, though. I think we can all agree the fear of cult mentality, that holds merit. I'm worried about people grouping up and acting irrationally on faith. May it be for a good outcome or a bad outcome. Okay? But, you know, it's always a person. It's always an authority that comes forward. And in the modern religion called celebrity, and of course moral panic around the same issue, you have a person like PewDiePie who is being demonized for probably some kind of money-related reason, because as with all modern religions, you need to follow the money. Okay? If you want to move, from agnostic to atheistic on the issue, or if you'd like to go back into being a true believer, you definitely want to look into this. So, one form of moral panic could be casually described as the false messiah complex. So, this is like basically people warning you, they're warning about a celebrity that they think will influence too many people. Someone that will be too persuasive and too loved. So like people, they don't want this person to direct. It's a power thing. They don't want this person to direct the future. And if a lot of young people are becoming familiar and learning to love this character, this person, early on in their life, it's going to set the tone for a fair percentage of reality. I'm not sure what percentage that would be. If you know what percentage of reality PewDiePie will change, please leave a comment below. And I do hope that he links this video. I love you, PewDiePie. That's at PewDiePie on Twitter. And he's on YouTube. And I like his videos. I think you're a funny guy. I think you're a smart guy. I'm basically doing Cartman from South Park. I'm like, I'm in love with you. No. I'm not in love with you, PewDiePie. I am, unfortunately in this case, straight. But I love you, PewDiePie. And yeah, definitely link this video. Do that. But no. So people do generate alarm over the personality that's too persuasive, too loved, and too successful. And one of the core tenets, too, of socialism is taking away the property rights of the rich and the successful. It seems to be that a lot of these modern religions in this generation, now in the past it's been a different side, but I do believe at this point in time, a lot of these there's more true believers on the left. And some on the right, but more on the left. And that's my current observation, which could be subject to change. So,